Excellent. So I am thrilled to be able to welcome some of the innovators and activists and the amazing folks who help put love in the time of fentanyl into the world. So Norma, I'm so sorry, is it Vaillancourt? Did I get that right? Norma Vaillancourt, blessings. Sarah Blyth, also amazing human, haven't seen in so long, and the lovely Colin Askey. Take it away.
So thanks so much for having us, and thanks for the invite, Una. It's just an honor to be with you all here and sharing a bit about the story of love in the time of fentanyl, and to be with a couple of my favorite people in the world, Norma and Sarah.
Thank you, Colin. Thanks, Colin.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe we just introduce ourselves first, and then I'll give like a background of the kind of film, and then I think we just talk about our experience with how it's been. It's pretty cool. Today's actually the 1-year anniversary of when we premiered at Doxa.
Wow, yeah. Happy anniversary. Yeah, happy anniversary, Colin.
Happy anniversary to you all. So I'm Colin, and I'm the director of Love in the Time of Fentanyl. And I've also worked in harm reduction for many years in Vancouver's downtown east side. And through that work, I had the honor of doing a lot of film work and graphic design work and just media work in general for several different organizations in the neighborhood. And really through that work is kind of what like I was doing this work, but didn't really, I don't think, appreciate the history of what was going on in the downtown east side until I got to really more involved in that sort of work and got to hear a lot of the amazing, obviously personal stories that we all hear through this work, but also just the history of the downtown east side and how a lot of the groundbreaking work that was being done when I was working there got started through the actions of so many incredible people. And that's how I met Sarah and Norma originally. Like, Sarah was volunteering for a street soccer program, which I was doing some filming for. And Norma worked at the Drug Users Resource Center, which was an amazing place in Vancouver's downtown east side that basically just was a community center for people who use drugs. And if you had an idea and you had a class that you wanted to teach, or if you felt you had something to offer the community, that place supported you to make it happen. And there was a managed alcohol program, an illicit alcohol program where people, an exchange, one of I think the first ever alcohol exchanges where people could bring in illicit alcohol, such as rubbing alcohol or hand sanitizer, and exchange it for beer or wine that was brewed by members of the center. There was like, there was I remember a glass blowing class, so people could learn how to blow their own meth or crack pipes. Just like an endless list of amazing things that happened there. And that's where I had the honor of meeting Norma, I think. I mean, Norma was everywhere, so it could have been numerous places. So yeah, I'll let you all introduce yourselves as well.
Oh, go ahead, Norma. Hi, I'm Norma Vaillancourt. I work at the Overdose Prevention Society. I'm a supervisor there. I save lives every day. Oh, actually, yes, every day. Even when I'm walking down the street and I'm not working, I tap the feet behind the feet of people that are, I don't know if they're dead, alive, or whatnot, but I make sure they're alive. And if they acknowledge me, then I keep going. And it's pretty bad when you walk by and you see people just walking past them. They don't acknowledge them and go, well, that's just another, addict or whatever, alcoholic, But that's not fair. So, not good for us. But anyhow, I love my job, and I did But I did work at how I met Sarah Blyth at the street market we had when she was running it. It was when I first met Sarah. And then I started working at Dirk. And then from Dirk, I went to Ops with Sarah. And here I am, still at Ops. So that's me.
And I'm Sarah Blyth, and I know Colin from working at PHS. And we started a homeless soccer team out of the New Fountain Shelter, which was like an emergency shelter that they took people from, when the Olympics came, they basically decamped everyone at that point, and then they brought people into shelters, and it was a low barrier shelter. And I mean, in a lot of ways, it was a overdose prevention site because it was low barrier. You could bring your snake, your shopping cart, whoever in there. But anyways, we started a soccer team. We went to a homeless World Cup, which is like 80 plus soccer teams that from around the world that involve homeless people. And Colin went to the second homeless World Cup to film, which was in Paris. Was that in Paris? I don't know. Did we meet there? I don't know where we met again and again. I don't know. But then
Paris.
But Colin was there. Yeah, we went to Paris, and that was a crazy time. I can tell you that was crazy. So we got into some crazy stuff, doing some crazy adventures together over the years through different initiatives, including the street market. Colin made a bunch of different films about different projects that we were working on. Interesting, like this Downtown East Side Market, which is vendors. He made a video about that, which was really amazing, and videos about the street soccer team. And, you know, his work is just so incredibly touching. And that's, I think, how he built trust in the community, is that he really wanted to show the best of the community and worked hard to do that, and actually was part of the community for many years, so could do that. And I'm sure that Kaylin had some influence on that in the background, did some directing stuff, which is great. And how I met Norma, street market, working at the street market, I met lots of people, and a lot of them came on because the street market in 2016, the street market is a place for homeless vendors in the downtown east side. It also started during the Olympics, and it was started just sort of as a protest to the Olympics, but also to all of the people that were homeless. And so people were buying, selling, and trading things. The city eventually gave them a space, and I managed that for a while, and then realized with folks like Norma and Kevin King in the documentary, and a lot of folks, we noticed that there was an increase of people running in off the street or overdosing in our washroom. We had a stand-up washroom there, and or like a porta potty, and people would just basically fall out of the porta potty in it. So the overdoses just became so prevalent at the market, but from outside the market, and because we were outside, people would just run to us, and we just ended up not having enough Narcan, and we'd go to places to get the Narcan, and there wasn't enough to deal with the crisis. And so we just set up a tent table and chair, and folks like Norma were like the innovators, and would wait and be kind and watch people while they used. It just ended up being that. So yeah, so that's where we started. I don't know how much longer I should go on about how we met each other, but
we should go into what Una wants us, which is
The man, Colin.
yeah, we're gonna have to cut you guys off lots, I feel like, if we're gonna get through this, because I want
Oh,
to
Colin.
questions. Yeah, I'm gonna be interrupting you. I apologize now, but I think questions would probably be the best part of this. And if people probably we should clarify that Love in the Time of Fentanyl is a film that it's a feature film, and if you're in the US and want to watch it, it's on PBS. PBS is Independent Lens, and there's a website, loveinthetimeoffentanyl.com, that will give you a better idea of what it is, and it's for me, and I think a lot of folks just it has been really amazing experience, because I did a lot of film and media work for harm reduction organizations and in the downtown east side for many years, and it was a huge gift for me, and be able to really just learn so many amazing stories from people, and have that it's just such a gift when people share, you know, with you, and to be able to be a part of that was just a huge gift for me. The issue for me was always like all of these films and stuff I did never really was able to get out of the harm reduction bubble, and it was, you know, really appreciated by folks in the community, but I always, you know, felt like, I think, you know, with harm reduction is either like people are so scared because it's either all we hear in the media is how hated, you know, it is, or it's used a lot as kind of, I think, like a way just to trigger folks in comments and stuff like that. And so people, I think, are used to people either getting it or just hating it, and there's never, I could never figure out a way to really reach a wider audience of people that you know, that you'd run in the streets that were new to this, or that were actually, you know, decent people that it made sense to, and how to get it to that bigger audience was something that this film, I felt like was able to do somehow, and through the help of a lot of people, which has been an amazing year, I think, for the film, and seeing how that happened, and seeing how it's been able to reach communities that I don't think Sarah or Norma or any of us ever thought would happen when we were making this film. And so, yeah, today we're talking about kind of like how media technologies can create real life connection, how those connections generate a knowledge and medicine exchange, and places and spaces, both virtual and regional. So I don't know, Norma, I think I'd like, you know, it'd be important for you to maybe to talk about some of your experiences at some of these screenings. You know, like I remember when we premiered a year ago at Doxa was really beautiful for me, because it's where it should have premiered, you know, right in the downtown east side. There's a beautiful theater.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had Culture Saves Lives drumming.
Oh, that was awesome. That was like, yeah. And then I went and offered tobacco, which, you know, should be done. Like when someone comes in with a drum, you offer tobacco, and then, you know, that's for everybody that's there, and for the world too, you know.
What's been your experience at these screenings in different communities outside of the downtown east side, for both yourself and for the audiences, do you think?
Well, I think that me, when I first, the first place I went was Edmonton, Alberta. And I went with Ronnie Gregg and Gina, I don't know what's last name, but anyways, the three of us went there, went to the screening, and then we did a Q&A after it. And the people that asked different questions about this, about why did you get into it, and how do you survive, you know, how do you get yourself into something what you're doing. And, you know, I tell them I'm an addict myself. I'm still an addict. And, you know, I'm there with them, and I'm saving their lives if something happens to them, because I care. And my experience of Q&A has like been an opening door for me, because I've never been able to talk in front of big crowds. And now I can talk in front of all kinds of people now, and share my stories, like me being an ex-heroin addict. I've been clean for 29 years now. Used to use needles. You know, it's a good experience for myself and for the people that are using our site. And people are just amazed by what I have to share. You know, wow, she's been there, done it all, you know. But yeah, my experience, it's just going from Edmonton, Powell River, Toronto, London, Ontario, Cobourg, Thunder Bay. I love traveling and sharing my experience about your documentary that you did, Colin. It's amazing.
Awesome. How about you, Sarah?
Well, yeah, I'm just happy to see Norma be able to travel and hear about her stories and some of the folks that haven't had a chance to really get out of the downtown east side or Vancouver very much have had an opportunity to go and meet people and come back with stories. And I mean, just getting out of the downtown east side creates a situation where people get some healing and they get to meet people. And I think that's just a wonderful aspect to this. I didn't really know what happened. I think, like Colin said, we didn't, when we were involved with this project, we didn't really realize how significant, or you don't know if it's going to just reach the downtown east side or but it's reached not only the downtown east side, but across Canada, the States, throughout the world. It's changed people's point of view. As far as media, as far as some of the things I've taken notes about, like education, like it's been a wonderful way to educate. Like I work with politicians to try and educate them about the crisis and make sure that they know what exactly is going on in the downtown east side. So bringing politicians to any of these screenings, it's happened across the country. People can bring their local politicians to see, and then they have another view about breaking the stigma and learning about the people who operate these sites and how that these sites are like family and people care about each other and they care about the community, and they these human experiences that anyone can be a drug user, and that so it's a really good tool for breaking the stigma. And even media has come to a lot of the events, and then they report on it. And sometimes with a lot of, even in Vancouver where it's pretty progressive, but in Toronto or even New York, or places where there might be a less progressive viewpoint and more conservative viewpoint on drug use or even overdose prevention sites, it kind of educates people to what they are, and the media, and it kind of can break the stigma of some of the news articles that are more conservative out there. It at least it's kind of a rebuttal to that, and it's a way to kind of get information out to people and educate people. And I've had people that are more conservative, that are conservative aligned, come out to screenings, and even with Colin saying all kinds of things like that those guys did this or that, they still came out of the movie. You know what I'm talking about, Colin. Even with that, the more conservative politicians left the screening with a huge, change of heart and a huge understanding about, what these overdose preventions are really like, and how compassionate and caring and caregiving and front lines they are, and that they're different than what a more conservative point of view is out there saying they are. So it's really been helpful in the media to fight the stigma, even on so I think it just and also just for I don't know, okay, also for I've just got a couple notes here. Yeah, like just people like Norma going, to other cities and meeting people in the community and watching the movie together, and realizing that, in a small town, that they're not alone, that there's people going through the exact same thing in another place, and that these are kind of services that you can be creative and create some services and some camaraderie, and it doesn't have to be terrible and painful, and that we can have community and use drugs and build each other up and have opportunities and have work and be there for each other. And I think it's, Norma's story and Dana's story and a lot of people's story, and that are inspiring to other communities, and they can have conversations and they can bring in their politicians. And you've seen even in Ireland where they brought the politicians in, and we've gotten some information that they've actually been able to open up their own overdose prevention site based on just seeing something like Colin's movie and being able to bring the politicians in, so that it's not as scary to the politicians, that they can go, okay, well, this is real people. These are real people. They have real stories. This is real help. And these are real jobs, and shows the model that we're doing. So I think, from that sort of perspective, I think that it's like, it can be used as a tool forever like that too. I mean, it's not going to go away. And I think over time, it's been very good to fight against some of the terrible people that don't have a lot of empathy and not understanding, and they're not educated. And I think it's like, I think a lot of it is, I've always been of the mind, because I've always worked on projects that have been hard and that people don't understand. And I think, and it's opposed to fighting them, you educate them through stories like Norma, and having Norma speak to them about her opportunity, her life and what she's gone through. And she can convince any politician that we should be doing the right thing. So we need more people to stand up. And I think this gives people inspiration. And I do hear from people, even if I'm not at the movie screening, I hear from people who are inspired by the movie to do their own thing. So that's really great. So I think that it's a change maker for sure. And media has helped, and technology has helped. And I think, and Una, thanks for having us too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We miss you.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing for me is being able to see that, it's not about us, like, even though it's obviously about ops and Sarah and Norma's work, the film itself has been able to be used by, different people and harm reduction organizations around the US and Canada to say, this obviously looks different here than the downtown east side, but I can point to this in the film and it can be a helpful tool. And that's been amazing just to hear, and putting the power in those hands and having those organizations and those people hold these events and these community screenings and direct the kind of conversations after. And I think I was worried, in some, in the US, we're definitely worried of like presenting the downtown east side to the US, because it's like the old story of, this was what happens, it's rough in the downtown east side. There's no question this crisis is devastating this community. And there's this old narrative of like, this is what happens if you have a overdose prevention site, without the context of the neighborhood and all that. So I think there was a lot of fear, and really the reaction did not go there at all. And it was like beautiful to be, some virtual Q&As I was a part of, in like old folks' homes, where PBS was like, did these pop-ups, and we really lucked out with that. Like PBS was really amazing, where they only choose a handful of films every season to do these pop-up screenings for, and we got to be one of them. And they said that we were the most successful pop-up they've ever had, because it was the harm reduction community in all of these places that was bringing people out and leading the charge in these events that made them so successful. But they were all over the US, in places that you wouldn't think would relate to the downtown east side at all, but people finding things in this film and finding inspiration in this film. And I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Can I do that, Una?
Yes, you can. You have full permissions.
Okay, I'm just going to try to do this, but I may fail as much as I am. I know how to make films, but that's about it as far as technology. So I want to go to
go to share screen at the bottom,
Now I'm
little
going to
green arrow,
Google Chrome.
and then you want to, if you're going to play any videos, you want to click this sound.
I just want to show like a document.
Oh,
So-
okay. If you have the document,
I have like
load-
we just got a producer's report from Zoom may not be able to record the contents of your screen until it is quit.
that is okay. We don't need,
Are you all seeing my screen? No.
not
Yes.
yet. Oh, hang on. Sorry. I'm going to spotlight that. I mean, haha. Remove spotlight. Remove spotlight.
Technology.
Oh, here we
Did
go.
you-
I can choose which. There, you see that?
There you go. Yes.
So this is a producer's report we just got. And then after, I'll just go quickly through this, but so this is just from their pop-ups, not all the other, like there was like probably over 200 screenings now we've done through just screenings organized by harm reduction organizations that have addressed whatever's going on in their communities, be it that we're fighting for an overdose prevention site, or we're fighting for safe supply, or we're just fighting the stigma and want to change people's minds of, you know, who people who use drugs are. And then the pop-up specifically sent us this from just the PBS premiere, and just like if you see my mouse there was in one night when it premiered on TV, 1.3 million viewers across the US. And for me, that just like, you know, I'm tearing up right now just because, you know, it's like everything that for me you hope to, you know, accomplish is being able to tell people all the beautiful things that I've seen over my time doing this work and meeting people like the Normas, and to be able to introduce Norma to 1.3 million people, maybe the coolest thing I've ever done, you know?
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you, Colin.
Thank you, Norma. Yeah, anyway, the lot of reach through that and through but the most important things were these small you know, pop-up screenings and people being able to use it how they wanted. Here's Sarah in Hawaii kicking it with some Hawaiians. Yeah, and you know, Narcan trainings and fentanyl test strip giveaways and all sorts of cool stuff was going on there. Yeah, but I think we want to do some questions, right? We're running out of time. Anybody have any questions?
Awesome. That was amazing. I'm so happy. I miss you too, Norma and Sarah. Yeah, I had.
Oh no, where are you? We never see you.
I know. I'm everywhere. Yeah. Spreading the love, you know, I'm a little busy bee.
Yeah.
Always in love too. Some of the questions before we get into the actual Q&A, I was hoping like the idea of like bringing the story out of the downtown east side and into other areas did you find that people were relating on like a really big level? Norma, my question for you is like, what is it like to like get on a plane, get off a plane, and go, you know, because you were in Toronto?
Yeah.
Recently? And so I got a phone call and pictures of you standing with somebody who's a friend of mine who was like, I got to meet the famous Norma. And I was like, I don't know if you have had a chance to like process that you're really connecting with all of these different communities as you airplane in and out of them. So what does it feel like to be a like ambassador for this thing? What is that doing for you as a human being?
It's making my spirit stronger in my life, and it's making me like knowing that I'm making a community or a city know how I feel about harm reduction, and that I'm still doing my thing, you know. And I'm saving lives and making a difference in the world. People coming up, I finally get to meet you, and you know, oh, thank you. You know, and they're giving me gifts and all these kind of beautiful things. And I accept them. No, thank you so much. I appreciate what you've given to me. I'm happy to make a difference in their lives and other people's lives. And yeah, my experience is just like, wow, right on. I can do something better for myself. Like I'm helping the world, basically.
Experience, strength, and hope. And Sarah, another question that I have for you is like, was there any fear about getting on a plane and getting, going? And, we live in this little bubble, people call it, that when people find out that we're from Vancouver and like, oh, it's the Mecca of harm reduction. It's like, you have no idea how fucked up it is here too. And how many people have died in the search for and the demand for resources but we do have our own little bubble. We do things in a particular way. We have a particular way of engaging with each other and in this work. And did you find echoes of that when you went to other places? Was there any fear that people were going to, give you negative comments or have some sort of protest?
No, I didn't really think about that, but I'm always prepared for that. I mean, there'll always be like a negative, more conservative point of view about, like right now, it's the point of view in Vancouver is to like lock people up until they're sober, which is crazy. It doesn't make any sense. And then, so like we're always fighting these weird, like uneducated battles with politicians and people that they're not really dealing with the facts. They're not actually even communicating with people who are drug users to see what really would help them. And what it always comes down to is giving people opportunity and hope. And I think coming to these places, people are desperate to meet other people working on these issues because it's such an uphill battle wherever you are. It's such a huge crisis. Like it's just enormous crisis, and it's enormous in Vancouver, but it's also enormous in the States. And they're desperate to meet people like Norma and me and folks that have been working on this issue, have all the same problems with politicians, and need an outlet, people to talk to. What is working for you? What is working for me? What can we do together? Can we keep in contact? How do you deal with this? Even in Hawaii, we came up with some knowledge transfer of things that would work for us here, just ways that they're so, high level in how they're working on things there, and just how we deal with things in Vancouver, and the knowledge transfer really is helpful because sometimes we don't consider things for an argument for things here that they do, and vice versa. So it's kind of a relief to be able to speak to people and then do it in the context of this film where people really can identify with people like Norma and the struggles and being heroes, as opposed to just being so stigmatized for so long. It's relieving. It makes people feel good. It makes people feel heard. It makes people feel understood, and that there are some people out there that really understand them and care. So it's good. I've never felt, I'm always ready for the battle,
I love that. I saw on the producer sheet that you were just, the report that you were showing is there was a metric of 3.5 million impressions in different ways. And I was wondering, Colin, is it a surprise? Because again, like for me, I think often like we feel isolated, like we only care about ourselves in the harm reduction community. But if there are 3.5 million people plus who are interested in engaging with this, that's not all just harm reductionists. That's the social fabric of of folks who are interested and want to join the conversation. Like, do you find any of that surprising? And then how do you expand on those networks?
Can I just
Yeah, of
just
course.
say, sorry, I'll probably lose it. And then I just want to say that, like, to that, I go into coffee shops and I have random people coming up to me in those coffee shops saying, I saw you in that film. And it's completely opened my mind and changed the way that I think. So it's like, it's that, those million impressions, like, equal human beings that have, like, are changed people because of it. And that's, that's I don't think I've ever been in a coffee shop and had people come up to me like that before in that context. So I think that it can't be understated, right?
Yeah, I think it's like all shocking to me. And I think the biggest shock is the openness to these ideas outside, because, over the years, it's just, you're so used, and that's always what I feel like is so tiring about the work for me. Is not about the actual work as much as it is, and obviously, there's a lot of grief, but it's all the idiots that you have to deal with that just, are constantly just being idiots, and so I was just really expecting there to be a lot more blowback or using it, or I had a lot of fears of it being used in the wrong ways and in random places and all over, the south of the US and stuff like that. The comments were shockingly open to these ideas and shockingly, why don't we have this? Why aren't we doing more of this? And a lot of the data that we got on the, like, who was at these, even though there was harm reduction organizations that were leading a lot of these post-screening conversations, the audiences of the PBS, obviously PBS is an older audience that was showing up, and I think over half were not familiar even with the word harm reduction, and that is huge. That's something that, like I was talking about earlier, that I had no idea how is that ever possible to reach those folks, and then to, on top of that, be introduced to Love in the Time of Fentanyl, which is like pretty gritty and like, you're right in there to the front lines of this crisis, and to still have that make sense was like, thank fucking God. And I think we, as the harm reduction community, underestimate the openness of people sometimes, because we're so used to the shit talking idiots, because that's who's so loud, that sometimes we underestimate the openness of communities and people that we wouldn't expect to understand us. Like I was saying about that earlier, that old folks home, I was like, oh, this is going to be hilarious, this conversation. And it's like, and they were all like, wow, let's get these in Tacoma, Washington, a retirement home. So I don't know. I think it's different, obviously, everywhere, but it's all been really, really cool. I think it's just so much grief, right? Like, it's just so stupid, this crisis, and I think people are sick of it, and are encouraged to see something different. And a lot of it, there's the policies like overdose prevention centers and those conversations, but a lot of the beauty is like all the ways and the comments that I've read that have been like, I never thought that a person who uses drugs could offer this, and that's pretty, that I think is really key, is that just that shift of who these people are and how they're doing more for their communities than most of us are, has been pretty vital.
Thank you. Okay, I would like to open the floor to questions, comments, considerations. Feel free to turn your video on. Feel free to throw things into the chat. If you have any, you got an opportunity to see Love in the Time of Fentanyl, or you're interested in screening it in your area, this is a great opportunity to ask how that's going to happen. So let the questions commence.
I was wondering, how would I get a copy of this documentary for myself? That's,
Well, if you don't already have one, Norma, well,
I want one.
And
Sarah
it was
Sarah
I
has.
don't even have one. I don't have one.
What do you
So,
need? You need like a DVD, Norma?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't even know if I know how, but I'll figure it out and we'll get you.
Oh, that'd be awesome. You can.
I know, what is with that?
What's up with that, Colin?
We're not even gonna let people have questions because we got 1 million for Colin. And
We don't because we don't do DVDs anymore. Does anyone do Ds like asking?
I would love,
make
yeah,
a,
to do some.
a VCH
So-
tape?
people sell so many DVDs on the street, on the Hastings Street, and
And they're burned. Some of them are burned.
yeah,
them in the street market. Give them away.
yeah,
in the street
they're
market.
the street market, but yeah, we'd like to sell them at the street market.
Okay, we gotta let other people.
I love it. So Mo is asking, how can we get a screening for our community, which is in Minneapolis?
Basically, I'll put my email here for anybody. Is probably a good starting point. There's also the website you can reach out on, but I may be the quickest way to make it happen, and then we just give you a screener, and lots of folks have done them in theaters or libraries or whatever. Theaters are obviously cost something, but they sometimes give reduced rates for folks that are wanting to do fundraisers or have free events. So that's the biggest hurdle, I guess, for organizations or people that want to have screenings, is just getting the space. But it's been, and we accommodate any and however it wants to be screened. But theaters do cost usually a little bit of money, and then we operate on like a screening fee that's based on everywhere from zero, or if it's an organization with a budget, then I don't know, it goes off some Carfax screening basic fee thing. But yeah, we support it any way and possible to make it happen. It is going to be in Wisconsin and some opioid stimulant trauma summit, although that's Wisconsin, not Minneapolis. So Green Bay. And if you look at our website, there's upcoming screenings are usually listed on there.
Very cool. Any other thoughts? So if you were interested in bringing the screening to your area, I think we have the information in the chat, but we will also post it, post Symposium info for those who didn't quite get it. And I see that Megan has some questions and comments and love.
Yeah. Hi, lots of love. I didn't want to miss a chance to just thank you all for the contribution that you've made to this world, and do not underestimate like just how incredibly powerful that film is, and how many doors it's opening, and hearts and minds, and it's just really profound. I was lucky to participate in a series of screenings in rural New York State, upstate New York, in really small conservative rural areas. And it was just really profound. We did the screening, and then we had like a short, Q&A community discussion, and, people asked some really awesome and tough questions. And it went so well that I think this year for overdose awareness month or day or both, we're gonna do some more screenings like throughout the state. And it's just such a powerful way to interact with people and ask tough questions. And Norma, especially, your heart and your joy and your laughter and your dancing. I mean, how can you not enjoy that, and see the humanity and like the love and the way that you care for, the people in your community. It was just like so freaking amazing. I was trying to find the words. I typed in the chat like 7 different times, like trying to express like how really heartwarming it was. So it's just a pleasure to meet you all, and just keep going. Thank you so much.
Thank you for all your support. You're
Of course,
muted.
I'm muted. Yeah, I mean, this is often, it's like, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the beginning of every Zoom meeting at the beginning of COVID, right? Okay, so we still have like 15 minutes of these folks' time. If we want to give some more kudos or love, or we can take an early break. It's totally up to everyone.
I thought we were 15 minutes over. I was rushing through there.
I
Sorry.
know. I was like, no, you guys had 45 minutes. But yeah, so that's why I was like, you've got lots of time. Like, it's okay. Meandering
I
is
know, he was cutting me off. I had
I was
like
interrupting, Sarah.
everyone.
Believe it, man. Couldn't
What is
believe
the
it.
number one premise of conflict resolution is not to be task oriented, right?
Oh,
Yeah, so like so I'm so sorry, I should have let you know that you had more time at the beginning, and I deeply apologize. We have so much time together today that we were hoping to do that. So Tasia would like to ask a question right now. Go ahead and unmute yourself there.
Hi. Colin, I just want to say that movie, the film was, it changed me. I remember, so I got to speak on the panel afterwards, after the screening in the community that I live. And I'm like getting anxious. And I also like have the privilege of working alongside Galen, who speaks so highly of you. And that movie, like, it truly just showed me like what love is. Like, people ask me all of the time, like, how do you do what you do? And then the way done, it was beautiful. This is love. So I just wanted to say thanks.
Oh, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Means a lot.
There was another question in the chat, and it was, well, is there a replay for people like me who are late? Yes, 100%. We will be posting the videos up to YouTube later. And Teresa's asking, did you have to cut any scenes that you really wish you had kept in?
Oh, tons. Yeah. It was really tough. Yeah. Like all of, yeah, I don't know. It's like, for me, it was pretty big learning experience, and it's a big balance. Like originally I had to find a balance between, like, I think the film world, there's like a big disconnect between like what people want and understand of, like, everyone just assumed this was like another overdose crisis, and how it's kind of really presented in the larger media of like, let's find a villain, an easy villain, and say, this is what's causing it. And I really didn't care. Obviously I think most of us working in harm reduction, it's a lot more complicated than just a pharmaceutical company or fentanyl or like this, right? And so there was originally what all I wanted to do was just something that acknowledged the amazing work Sarah and Norma were doing, and speak to, I didn't want to do something that was trying to introduce harm reduction to, people that didn't understand it. It was like, I was doing this as an emotional response to what I was hearing of what was going on in the neighborhood, and just wanted to show the amazing human beings that were involved. And that was really tough. So there was a lot of beautiful scenes that for me spoke to that, but other people might not have, or are just like, we're just trying to wrap our heads around this, like, come on. So it's like it's a lot of balancing acts to when you actually have a broadcaster. It's going to be on public television. There's a lot of notes, a lot of voices, and so it's a long process of trying to get something that has, finding a story that has a beginning and an end and an arc, and also just, you know, a lot of sacrifices of things that you love and stuff that may not fit into that story. So I mean, I could go on and on of examples. One was a pickle joke that Norma, there's my favorite scene basically in the film got cut. That's when Norma comes in and Sarah's at the front desk and Norma has her cell phone and she's like, watch this, you know, it's a YouTube video. And the title of it is like, don't microwave pickles. And in the YouTube video, the guy puts a pickle in the microwave and then it's like 30 seconds, then it opens and it's like a dildo kind of attached to the door of the microwave, like a plastic penis. And I thought it was like the funniest thing. And Sarah and Norma and everyone just was like sharing this laughter because that's for me what the film was about, not just about the death and the tragedy outside, but the love and the life and the laughter that was going on inside this place was really important to me, but never made it.
Maybe the film, that the final film, like you can do like a X-rated version or something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Or like the version that ends up on DVD gets some funny outtakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how in films they do the, like you have the credits and then you have the little tiny cut
Yeah.
scenes like from, it's like those are the one with the little warning. Couple more questions in here and comments. So some folks are like, I have inattentive ADHD and you're all keeping my attention right now. So this is fantastic. And thank you for that.
Me too.
Right. Don't we all? Well, some of us anyway. Someone also posted that they felt as a harm reductionist that it was so refreshing to see a realistic portrayal of the work and the passion for the work without necessarily making it more traumatic. Because it was the opposite of otherizing folks.
Yeah, that's I think like, it's
Okay, I found this on the web for Hey Six Legs. Check it out.
that's what you're listening to when the old mic's off, eh? Is that some Australian like workout video or?
It's my Siri just decided to do something. I'm so sorry.
Siri Australian?
It's either the Irish bloke or the Australian.
Oh my, well, at least they didn't bring up something naughty. Hey, Norma?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that's
Norma.
like the how to do something that's going to get out there and not hurt people or traumatize people, I think is
We were
the
just,
biggest.
can I just let
Yeah.
Norma know that we were bringing up her pickle video? Remember your pickle video? Your pickle joke?
Oh, yeah.
That was
Yeah.
my favorite scene
I
though.
love joking around at work.
Yeah.
I make people laugh.
I can't wait to see it.
But I think
know.
just to go back to that, not traumatizing people, I think that's like the most important question of how to make a film, because I think probably every organization in here deals with constant people wanting to make movies or do something, and it's like it can go horribly wrong a lot of times. And through my work, originally was, I think, like 10 years of making videos in the downtown east side, making sure it was only for the organization or the people's voice and never for my own agenda, and always for that, really was the biggest learning lesson of how to and also just the work in these spaces of how to not be in the way of services and communicate, make sure everyone knew what I was doing. I just would I think it's a tough stuff, and I think still people, it's like opportunities from the films, it's like it's complicated stuff, it's a crisis in Vancouver's downtown east side that's still just fucking heartbreaking, and that Norma and Sarah are still going through that, if not worse, in that neighborhood. And so it's a real on so many levels, doing something like this is every level and every stage that has the potential to hurt people. and I think like I do my best to try and be aware, but I don't think like by any means have any real answers other than trying to like all of us communicate and just be as aware of that as possible. What do you all think, Sarah and Norma, about that?
I'll let Norma answer that.
Well, like, people, like, come up to me, they're awesome worker, Norma. They see me, like, either from using the site or just see me on the street. Cause how I go about saying hi to people. Hey, how you doing? You need a smoke? If you want to smoke, if I have one, they ask me for a smoke, I give them one, right? I can afford it. My last smoke, no, I don't think so. But anyhow, yeah, people that like down here, they can be different, they can be rude, they can be nice. It's how you present yourself to them. Like someone can be yelling at me, and what's the matter? What's wrong with your day today? You approach them differently and with a different tone of voice. And it makes people, think, wow, this person cares, right? And approaching people down here is difficult sometimes, especially where I work at ops. Like, saving their lives.
I think you muted, Sarah.
I don't want to say, what the heck was good? You messed up my high and all this and that, Well, aren't you glad you're alive today? And then I think about it, okay. But yeah, I just, I take things one day at a time. That's on his side.
What was your favorite moment in filming, Norma? You have one?
Favorite moment?
Yeah.
Would have been my boyfriend and I cooking for ops. Yeah, that's my favorite part. Showing us cooking, preparing a meal for ops. Because we used to do that like quite often, like once a month maybe. Yeah, we bring back to ops a home cooked meal for people. And that's pretty awesome, I think. A lot of people don't have home cooked meals no more. And we put flavor into the food. Yeah, it's nice to see a smile on people's faces. Wow, this is so good. Yeah.
Going to add more Norma food to the favorite comfort food slide. I have a question about the was there any challenges to filming while also having the ops running? Like, was that difficult at all?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes. A lot of it was filmed in the staff area where not in the injection site. So a lot of it was just like, which was basically half the site. It was like half the site was like where staff monitor the tables, doing the paperwork and people's lockers. And so, you could do a lot of the person to personal stuff in that area. And then you choose times where people were comfortable and make sure people are comfortable. So, and be respectful of the people using the site and making sure that people know what they're what they're doing and whether they want to be involved in something like this or not, and just checking in on that. So I think thankfully we had enough space to capture the personality of the site without going into the injection room where people have privacy and need privacy. And we had an outdoor site as well. So there wasn't really a need it wasn't, anyways, it was okay. It was not so hard to balance. So a lot of the personality of ops comes from like the people who are drug users that are also the heroes and the people that work at ops and the best people to work at ops. I mean, that if there's anything that I've realized over time is that ops is that the best people to do the job are drug users, people helping each other, people having that kind of empathy. No one has, no doctorate, nothing, no amount of psychology or psychiatry can understand what people are going through like another drug user. And so, and they have the most compassion and understanding and are willing to really meet, like Trey, for example, is just like the most incredible human. He doesn't use drugs anymore, but his empathy is just unbelievable what he does. And he does, you tell him to take a break and he's at the hospital visiting people, he's visiting people in recovery, he's bringing people to meetings, he's on panel discussions about, helping people. I mean, it's just endless empathy and understanding and compassion and not wanting to leave folks behind. So, and so, like capturing that in that space where they're working and showing how drug users are the leaders and they are the heroes and they are the people who are the most unrecognized but deserve to be recognized people in the crisis. And you can see the strength in 6 years not even 7 years of the crisis that we're in. I mean, our peers and former drug users are the only people who have really outlasted the crisis from the beginning to end. And it's because of their compassion and understanding and the fact that they are really understanding and really wanting to help. And I think the strength that comes with that. And you bring someone, even when I worked at the PHS, I realized that a lot of times you bring people from outside the community to come and work in the community, and it ends up costing the community an enormous amount of money and resources because they just don't know what's going on. They don't know how to deal with things. They're not capable of dealing with things. They get offended really easily, by the most ridiculous things. And it just becomes like a liability and like a resource drain. So, you'd much rather get someone like Norma who just gets it right away and understands the situation and what to do immediately and how to treat people that have gone through so much pain and trauma in their lives, if that makes sense. And that takes, years.
Thank you. It looks like people are needing to log off for the break. So can we all give a round warm of emojis for our amazing Loving the Time of Fentanyl crew? Let's see those hearts fly. We're so grateful. Thank you
Where's the
for
hearts? Oh, they're there.
They're there. They're coming. There's like so many. I was like, where's mine? I can't find my thing. Here, also this one. Yeah.
Big heart.
My little heart. Before people go, so we're going to have a little bit of a break time for those of you who can't rejoin us. I'm hoping that you will go back to the Menti and get and hit these slides up for a little bit of feedback for us and some love for our speakers thus far. So I'll leave this up for a few.
There's my big heart.
Right, for a few moments. It's just another opportunity for us to encapsulate the joy of our time together, as well as some learning for us at Brave for our next symposium. So other than that, thank you so much. The room will remain open. I am going to stop the video.